I thought since I had all my rope and stuff out for that other video, that I might do a quick tour of some of the knots and stuff that I've got out here. See how well this works, or if it's even interesting for people. I'm going to start out with the two tools that I use the most when I'm working with ropes and knots, and that's just a good pair of sharp scissors and then a lighter. Even on the natural materials, singeing the ends can make it a lot easier to tie and stuff when you've got no frays to deal with. So I'll start out with these, which are one of my current favorite knots. They're basically just a Turks head curved in on top of itself, so if you've done any decorative stuff or just playing around with some moderate level difficulty knots, the Turks head is a fun one. And these balls are, like I say, just turned in on itself Turks head so that it becomes a little globe. Really neat, and I'm going to play with those a little bit more. The monkey fists and stuff that I used to make, you can put a nut in the middle so that it has some mass and it has a little weight, so I'm going to try doing that with these little balls too. So started out with those. To the left of it there, we've got the snake knot, which is another one of my current favorites from that Tying It All Together's channel. Then we've got some of the rattlesnake tails, or the rattlesnake knots behind it there. That's a thing that I'll do in a video, I guess, if people are curious. It's a PVC coupling with some chopsticks, and then I lashed the chopsticks with some of that braided nylon stuff like this here, and then sort of tied them in a crude 5-point design there, and then once they were all lashed and they were where I wanted them, I just dabbed each lashing with some super glue. So it's basically never going to fall apart. It's not going anywhere. I can pull on these all day and they're not going to leave. Anyway, it's a weaving thing, and it's what you make these various types of multiple-sided weaves. So this one, for example, is a two-sided, where you just use two of the chopsticks or two of the prongs on that jig. This one would be 3, and you can sort of tell that it's a 3-sided design. A lot different than the 3-sided design of the rattlesnake tail, but it's got some advantages. Anyway, you tie it. I guess here's the 4-sided one, and if you're looking at it, you can see that there's sort of 4 sides to that one, and then this one has 5 sides. And once you get to this 5 and higher, it really looks like knitting more than anything else, because that's technically what it is. So anyway, this is the jig that we use to build those different, basically tubular braids. I guess there's probably more accurate way to say it, but they've got some advantages, some disadvantages, but some advantages. Then I've got a big pile of 550 cord here, like I was saying in the other videos. These are bags of 100 yards, probably less if I've been pulling out of them, but you buy them as 100 yards, and well, at least last time I bought them, they're like $7, and you can get them in various colors. We've got some tan, some green, some black, safety orange, white, OD green, and then that maroon color. I think I've got blue and some other colors too. This is some cotton, just clothesline, which isn't much good for heavy use, of course, but it is good for some decorative stuff, and then for learning it's great because it's real easy to untie the knots from it. We've got some of the solid nylon stuff, which was, honestly, this is the stuff I used to use before 550 cord became so prevalent. It's great stuff, but it's just not as protected. It's a solid rope, so it's strong and everything. It just doesn't have any abrasion resistance like the 550 cables or the 550 cords do. Got a couple of nooses made out of some rope, which is always good stuff to have. It's real easy to tie knots, super strong. Of course, it's got the durability issues from being a natural material. Got a couple of the different square and round braid examples. This one, I believe, this long one is actually, I'll zoom out, this long one is one section of a parachute, and once you braid whatever size, I'm pretty sure I had the cargo parachutes from a C-130, that's where these are from, and then you take one length from the unit to the parachute, you fold that in half, and you take 2 of those. So this is the length of it folded in half and then braided in a round braid. This is probably one strand folded in half, cut, and then folded in half and braided in a square braid. And these are 20 years old and still doing fine. This one you could probably use as a belt. Again, once you get to a certain length, you know, you're looking more like weaving or macrame than you are building knots. So here's it is square braid again in a different color. And again, once you start playing with colors and stuff, this one the concept was to make it a pull for like a first aid kit or maybe some emergency equipment so that it would be easy to see this in the trunk of a car or something. But again, you start looking like you're doing macrame or something. This is actually for a army uniform. I forget what it's for, but had one when I was a kid. Thought it was neat. And it's just a simple braid. Then we've got some of the natural materials, the non-man-made stuff for the most part, and that's your Cecil twine, just your typical twine. This is a little bit softer twine. This stuff is a little bit cruder and more difficult to work with. It's real stiff and then either waxed or just made out of a real waxy material, and you know, for different uses you need these different types of materials. The natural materials are great. I prefer the hemp. I just don't have any right now, but the balls of the hemp look like this, but they're usually a lot tighter and are super strong. They're basically as strong as nylon, really. Then I've got this one, which is again just plain old rope that I dyed when I was a kid, one half blue, one half red, and then just back spliced. And the idea here was to, as a scout, teaching other kids how to tie. Having two different colors helps keep track of what the knot's doing. Again, some of this clothesline material is horrible for doing anything with. It's got no abrasion resistance. It's, you know, going to not hold up well to weather. It's just horrible stuff. But if you're tying knots, learning how to tie knots, it's great for, again, its ability to see the knot. It's sort of like using the big old Lego blocks. You have a lot of rope to deal with and real hard to pinch it or anything, so it's really easy to untie. But again, almost useless except for teaching and hanging clothes on. So that was a quick tour of my cord. I'm sure there's more exciting things in the universe, but hopefully spark some interest in ropes and leave us some feedback on what you'd like to see. I'm really not interested in doing how-to videos because I think there's guys that are already doing that better than we could. But if you're interested in our point of view on stuff, if you're interested in maybe, I don't know, resources or something, let us know, because it's definitely a big hobby of mine. And you know, just about everybody keeps 550 cord in their bug-out bags and in their cars. And big question is, you know, do you know what to do with it once you've got that stuff in an emergency? I figured it might look a little more daunting than it was, so I figured I'd just explain that, you know, this is, I just spread all this stuff out for the video, but really I just keep all my twine in this one bag, and it doesn't take up much room in a drawer. That's all my twine pretty much. And then my 550 cord, which pretty much all live in this sort of weird, I think it's just a custom pouch that I got online one time, and it's easy enough. Usually these are a little bit neater. And then all my small pieces of 550 I keep in this little hippie pack. And that's where I've been keeping my balls as well. And then this way I keep this inside of the larger pouch here. And that's, well, I'm not going to take the time to do it, but I can cram everything into this pouch and that bag. So even though it looks like a lot in the video, actually these things at 550 are outside, but I keep all this in about that much room on a shelf. And, you know, I just pulled it all out for the video. So that's the tour of the rope, and give us some feedback. Let us know what you think.